How's it going, eh? So we are shooting out of Fort Amherst, PEI.
Yeah.
You can see our lovely, capital city behind us here.
Charlottetown's basically across the bay.
Across the bay, as they say.
Yeah.
As they say down here.
I don't even know what that bay is called.
That is the Hillsborough River. So, is it not?
It goes into the Hillsborough River.
Yeah, but that's like the Hillsborough Bridge, right? That's what they call that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bridge over a river that leads into an ocean.
Yeah.
And a man is an ocean.
A man is an ocean?
Isn't that a saying? I think it is. Anyway, so we talk about games stuff and things like that. So let's start off with some housekeeping here, Kev. What games have you been playing lately?
Not a whole lot. Still playing Pokemon Go a little bit, mostly at work, because across the street from my work is somebody that goes by the name Boy Wonder 001.
Oh shit, we're calling you out, Boy Wonder 001. It's going down.
He drops lures all the time.
Yeah.
Always constantly going.
How do you know it's him?
We're catching Pokemon. Oh, you can actually tap on the lure.
Oh, and see who's
and
put down? Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, lures are constantly going on across the street. Really easy to catch Pokemon while
Why not
at work.
So what level are you at now?
I'm at level 17 now.
Okay, nice.
Just barely 17, but I'm there.
Do you have any gyms claimed at the moment?
No, I don't. Because the scene has gotten competitive here.
Super competitive, like hilariously competitive.
Yeah, there's so many people in like the 20s and stuff, and like
yeah,
it's pretty hard to compete with people who have like 1700 CP Pokemon when your max is like, my highest is just a little bit below 1100.
Listen, man, I'm sitting here with a CP 300. There's no incentive for me to play this game. This is why they need a tier-based. This is the third namecast we're gonna say this. They need a tier-based gym system.
Yeah, or to make it more fun, just leveling up and ignoring the gyms.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's not really fun. I don't know. I don't have time for the game, but that's what I've been. So what else have you been playing? Anything else?
I tried a little bit Darkest Dungeon. I haven't gotten to play much more than half an hour of it. Yeah. But one super good game.
Yeah.
Super good. I only played half an hour, but I just know it's good because like they're just nailing the themes and the mechanics and all that kind of stuff, and like, man, it's such a dark, brooding game, and yeah.
Okay. So are there dungeons in the game?
Yeah, there's one dungeon.
Oh, it's one dungeon.
Sort of, I think. Oh, actually, it's sort of multiple, but there's a main dungeon.
Okay.
Basically, the story is your father opened up a dungeon via a mine that he made below your family's manor.
Of course.
And there was some Cthulhu-esque horror down there. So
as was foretold in the prophecy.
Yeah. So now the whole town is very, I don't know, evil.
Sounds like my upbringing.
Happening.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Nice. So now, if you may remember from last week, I said this. I'm in one of those moods where I'm just not feeling super video gamey. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about video games anymore. And now I'm actually playing a game, and I think it's the best game I've played this year.
Yeah?
I played it, and it's called The Beginner's Guide. Totally weird. It's definitely my type of game, and I'm gonna spoil the crap out of it in a bit here. So what I want you to do, I want you to pause the video. I want you to download the game. It's like $10. Just download it, okay?
The Beginner's Guide?
Yeah, okay, go into Steam. Yeah, click on it. Perfect, you got it there. Now it's installing. It's not too big of a game. Okay, perfect. Now you play, pause the video, hold right there. We're gonna make an awesome freeze frame for the person to pause the video on, so you ready? So I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, then we're gonna freeze frame. Okay, 3, 2, 1, freeze frame. Okay, now if you're joining us again, The Beginner's Guide is amazing. You were a total dork and you jumped in at like the climax of it, and it meant nothing to you because you hadn't played.
How much game was there before? I didn't think you had played that much before I started.
I don't know. It's probably like a 90-minute experience.
Oh, okay.
So I played quite a bit before. Basically, what it is it's by the creator of Stanley's Parable as well, and it's really weird. It's told from a first-person perspective, and it's about this game designer. I guess that's what you can call him.
Yeah.
Called Coda. Probably not his real name. And it's just about the games that he makes. And he goes on and he's like, well, Coda always puts lampposts at the end of every game, and they're kind of something important for him, and it's showing what Davey thinks is like Coda's downfall into some type of depression or something like that. And so you think this Coda person is this very depressed individual who just isn't like confident to show their game to anyone else. So then Davy's like, well, what I decided to do was I wanted to show your game to a bunch of people, so he did. And it didn't work out well. And then Kev came in during the ending points. And like, the way I can describe the game is it's really weird. It's basically a bunch of unfinished, it's like you're going into someone's computer and just looking at their uncompleted projects and trying to like determine who this person is. So like they have some really weird mechanics, and there's the narration of Davey, who's the developer of the game, the whole time, and he's like, well, you know, Coda was thinking of this, so they were experimenting with this type of idea, and they used the source engine and blah 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 blah, continuing on like that. And then towards the end, there's this one, the final game called Tower, and it's basically Coda's reply to everything that Davey had done and him showing his games to everyone else. And there's one line in it where I was just like, whoa, this game totally got me. Like, it F with me hard when Coda puts like a poster up there for Davey to read, and it says, "Why are you putting lampposts in my games?" And it's like, oh shit, so were we being lied to this whole time? Like, it really kind of flips the script on you. And it's just such an obviously personal experience from the standpoint of the developer, and it really has reignited my enjoyment of games. I feel like a lot of games these days have become like this perfect sterile thing where it's like so many people come together and create it, and everything is awesome,
polished until it's shining,
super polished to a point of ridiculousness, and that's fantastic. If you want that, that's awesome. But as I'm starting to get older and like I have less time for games, I want like an hour, 2 hour experience that is not polished like that. That's I don't want something broken, obviously, but I don't know, that has that sense of character to it, that has like you're talking to the developer. I mean, Sybil almost scratched the edge. I didn't particularly like the game, but I appreciate it for what it was doing. But like games like 3/4 Home or 30 Flights of Loving, or even Gone Home to a certain extent, I think Gone Home's definitely on a different level than something like that. But man, it was amazing. So now, how do you think of games like that? Like, what do you think of those? Is that something you're into, or?
Yeah, I really do enjoy the short experiences, and I think it's for the same reason. Like, I want to experience a full something in one sitting.
Yeah.
So Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is very much like that. It's something that it's really one of my favorite games of all times, because like it brought me through like this emotional journey.
Yeah.
So I think
also good too.
Yeah, Journey is a good one. So yeah, if you can, if a developer can do something like that, then yeah, I'm all for it. Just because it's good, you get to experience like a full piece of art.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, and from the standpoint of games like Beginner's Guide or something like that, it's a very personal story, and it kind of breaks the fourth wall quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I've come up with a term for these type of games that tend to do that, because like in a bigger game, if it happened every once in a while, you just call it an Easter egg, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, it's like a really big Easter egg, so it's an ostrich egg is what I'm gonna call it. So those are ostrich-like games. So, spread it to your friends, be like, oh man, I'm playing an awesome ostrich game. They'll be a little confused for a bit. They'll know what you're talking about after a while, right?
Yeah.
They probably won't actually be able to figure it out, but that's fair.
I like the term self-aware.
You know what, Kevin? Get the fuck out of here with your self-aware bullshit. God. So anyway, so yeah, I really like ostrich games. They're really good. But yeah, that's I don't know. It's just it's reminded me how personal of an experience that playing someone's game can be, and how it's such an interesting medium. How it allows for stories like that to take place where you're actually participating in the story, and it's more like a book than anything else. So that's certainly how it feels to me.
Yeah.
But more interactive, and I really hope more games like this come out, and it's not your super AAA mercenary guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All that stuff's fine. Some people like it. It's great. But I think we're heading towards a future where more games like that are going to start to come out.
Yeah. There's another game I've been playing, which is quite the opposite of the one you just played, that you don't know I've been playing.
Oh God, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft.
Oh shit, you've been jumping back in, eh?
So something that World of Warcraft is awesome for as a game developer is just seeing what design decisions they make, what changes they make, and how it affects the game. And that happens at every expansion pack. And I was just reading up on like what changes they made for Legion, which is the next expansion coming out.
Of course.
And yeah, there's a lot of very, very interesting changes. It feels like they're trying to bring things back kind of to like a core, like, hey, this is about a game. It's kind of like an action RPG type thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really interested in the changes and how they work out. And so I renewed my subscription, bought the expansion pack, and
oh no.
yeah, the pre-patch just dropped, so pretty much all those changes are in, just the new content isn't. And yeah, it's certainly very interesting. It's, one thing that's kind of cool about these live service games and stuff like that is you do get to see, like, you know, what changes do they make over time. It's very interesting design decisions that go on there, and it's also kind of funny just to see them kind of backpedal on past ideas they had, and they're like, yeah, that didn't really turn out, so we're undoing that. Stuff like that.
In another announcement, this will be Kevin's last EhCast because he's just going to devote his life now to playing World of Warcraft again. So,
It's really not how
when
it
did you
works.
pick that up? I didn't even, that's funny, I had no idea.
It was earlier this week.
Okay, is that why you've been going in your room and just like closing the door?
No, actually,
Okay.
I've been playing it like just at night, and you've been working and stuff.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's
Yeah.
funny, man. Okay, cool. So what made you pick that up again? You were just reading up on it, or?
Yeah, it's just really interested in the design decisions, what changes,
Yeah.
or how the changes are actually going to affect the game. That's really what's kind of more interesting is like, yeah, it's fine to see all the changes like in the patch notes and stuff, and you know, see what they say it's gonna do, but it's another thing to actually experience like how it changes, like at least your own experience of the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get a lot of enjoyment out of doing that
Okay.
specifically. So yeah, maybe future EhCast I'll have a little more solid thoughts on what changes they made and how they affected at least my experience.
So is it similar to like back in the day at all, or no? Like, are they trying to push towards something like that?
A little yes, a little no. Like one thing that was done really well back in the day is that like each class had its purpose. They all felt distinct, and it's because like they built from the ground up, so it's a lot easier to do that.
Right.
Over time, they've been adding a whole bunch of things, and you know, there's been like things just kind of meshing, crossing over, and like just a whole bunch of stuff that got added, which is kind of irrelevant now. So they've just really pulled all that back, and they made sure that, you know, everything was distinct again.
Right.
As well as they could with, you know, however many classes and races and stuff they have. So yeah, it's good to see like now when you're playing like a bear druid, you feel like a bear druid. That's what I play. Like it's nice feeling like a big tanky bear.
Right.
Or if you're playing a demonology warlock, you are now summoning demons to fight for you and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, it feels much more like your purpose, because like previously, demonology demon was mostly dealing damage with spells, and then you turn into a demon.
Okay.
But they added a demon hunter class, which turns into a demon type thing. So it's like,
Oh.
right? So they I think when they did that, they realized, dude, there's way too much crossover happening in the stuff we're doing. So they just pulled things back and.
Oh, they just kind of retconned it. They're just like, nah.
Well, yeah, they just changed basically the core fundamentals of the class. And
Interesting. So now, what would that do for someone who plays that class? Like, would that be like an adverse experience, or just like, okay, the game's... Is that just something you expect in a live service game like that?
it's sort of something to expect. You expect changes and stuff, and I think at the end of the day, people just still want their class to be powerful, and as long as they do that, they're kind of happy with whatever. And really, like, you can make your class be like a certain spec, and you expect it to play like that spec. So
Right.
warlocks have like demonology and affliction and something else, but like demonology, now it's purely about demons. Affliction is now purely about, you know, spells that just deal damage over time, like diseases and stuff like that. So
That's
it's good that they just line it up with what those are called.
It certainly sounds like a less obtuse approach, and it also sounds more friendly to someone trying to hop in to something like that, because I know I tried to play it once, way back in the day, like 2008.
Yeah.
It's just not my type of game, but I could certainly see how someone could get into it. But if it's like what you said it was, where there was so much crossover and it's just really confusing like that, I can definitely see how players would be like, I don't have time to learn all this. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to play the game. What? It's like when you start off Dark Souls and you plunk a bunch of points in your resistance because you're like, oh yeah, I want to be able to like resist things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not exactly the best experience. Now, my question is, with an MMO like that, At what point do we reach a time where they're like, okay, we're shutting her down, World of Warcraft 2? Is that ever, like, maybe that sounds like a ridiculous question, but, like, it would allow them to put in a new engine and things like that. Like, would it not? Or how far can updates go?
They've talked about this, and I think a lot of people have, like, a bad perception of what an engine is.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you can't just, like, take one out and put a new one in.
Yeah.
Because where's that new one coming from? Well, the new one's just going to come off the old one, so
yeah.
Why would they even bother taking the old one out? They're just going to iterate on it.
Right.
Which is what they've been doing. Like, they increased the draw distance and a whole bunch of higher graphics things, like with this expansion, and it's something they've done with each previous expansion too. Is made it run a little better, look a little prettier. Really, the big bulk of the work is actually the content generation, because like, if they wanted it to make it look really good and new and everything, they would have to redo every model in the game, redo every area, like all that stuff. And it is something that they slowly do over time, piece by piece.
Yeah.
To make it a little more manageable. But it's not really worth it for them to just take everything out, redo it, and then release it as a new one.
Right.
And people are gonna miss their old stuff, old characters and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's not really much of a benefit. I think if we see a new Warcraft game, it's going to be Warcraft 4.
Right.
It's not going to be like a World of Warcraft 2.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, because some people actually don't know, what is Warcraft in comparison to World of Warcraft?
So Warcraft was one of the big original real-time strategy games. It introduced like group selection.
Yeah.
Like it's that big of a deal. And yeah, it was kind of like you managed this base and you built armies and you tried to take over other bases, and you had to mine gold and chop down trees for lumber and stuff. So yeah, it was very much a management RTS game. And it had the first one, Orcs and Humans, which had a pretty generic story. The second one, they tried to flesh it out a little bit. And then the third one, they changed it into being more of like character stories that drive the world story. And they really, really nailed it with the third one. A lot of people really, really liked the story and stuff like that. So then off the back of that, they turned it into World of Warcraft, which is the MMO.
Yeah.
Since, it was this kind of character story driven thing, then we can, let's make our players actually be a character in this world. So it was kind of like a natural progression there.
Yeah, and that Warcraft, that IP has certainly become very popular and definitely proliferated into other things. Like, I guarantee there are people who play Hearthstone that have no idea that it's all Warcraft stuff.
Yeah.
Like, which is interesting for sure. And are there other games based off of that, or is it pretty much just Hearthstone, Warcraft, and World of Warcraft?
Yeah, I think it's just Hearthstone.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like the Heroes of the Storm game, which has Warcraft characters in it. But
it does? Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, it has Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, and I'm sure Overwatch characters now too.
Oh, okay, so it's just amalgam. Okay, I got you there. So now, what do you think World of Warcraft will look like in 20 years?
I don't think it'll be around.
Oh, really? So when will it end, and what will come next? I know it's a tough question, difficult to answer, but I'm so removed from that type of world that I just find it interesting.
It's really hard to tell. Like, World of Warcraft still has a very healthy subscriber base. They're still making a lot of money. It's way less than it was previously, but it's still very profitable for them. So basically, you're just going to keep doing that until it's not profitable anymore, and then they'll sunset the game. What I imagine they would do is, once they're going that route, like make a Warcraft 4 just because everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Let it sit for 5 or 6 years, and then World of Warcraft 2 at that point. But that Warcraft 4, it would be something that would be very kind of world changing, and what would break the disconnect between the World of Warcraft original and like the second MMO based off of it. Right.
But then from that explanation, then would the only people who would really want to play Warcraft would be the people that like Warcraft 2 would be the people that played Warcraft 4? Because of that big change, that big rift, or would it just be like, I accept this role for it. Because how important is the story really in an MMO? It certainly doesn't seem like it's important, but maybe it is. I don't know.
That's the thing. It's not super important. You don't really need to understand it because with an MMO, you play for a long time, and they can slowly feed you story. Right? You have a lot of opportunity to kind of learn the story. So if it's a big, complicated story, that's not an issue. They can just kind of feed it to you very slowly. And yeah, so that's why like so many people got into World of Warcraft. You know, more so, like, those are a bunch of people there, too, that didn't even play Warcraft 3.
Right.
Like, a lot of people. And,
yeah.
You know, I think that's something they probably wanted to try a name for again with, like, Warcraft 4 and then World of Warcraft 2.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, if they were to do that, like, 10 years down the line from now.
And you think it would be that far off, eh?
Yeah. It would need to be a chunk of time, because, like I said, people don't want, like, there just to be a new game and all the old characters to be erased and stuff. Like, it needs to feel meaningful.
But at the same time, with Blizzard, I don't even feel like World of Warcraft is their biggest money getter right now. It's probably like Hearthstone or Overwatch or something.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I think my guess is it would be World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and then Overwatch.
Oh, you still think World of Warcraft's bringing in the big bucks?
It's a lot of subscriber money.
Yeah.
A lot, and like when this new expansion drops too, a lot of people buying the expansion, renewing their subscriptions, just like I did.
Right.
And yeah, it's big revenue spike for them. And,
okay.
Yeah, it's not on the same scale as Hearthstone. Hearthstone is much smaller payments.
Yeah.
And they do have a lot of players, but Hearthstone isn't as big as it used to be either.
But at the same time, now we're just talking about pure revenue, but from a profit perspective, because the WoW team has to be massive in comparison to the Hearthstone team, which probably is small. Much more slim.
Yeah, the game's made in Unity, actually, so...
It is?
Yeah, they don't even do their own engine for it.
Wow, that's intriguing.
Yeah. Huh. And... Yeah, it's probably mostly designers, and then a few programmers and artists, and some producers to just kind of bring it all together. Yeah, so that game's
definitely probably bringing in a bigger profit, I would imagine. Like
at least like on a ratio level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bigger percentage profit compared to expenses and stuff.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you don't have anything more to say on that, do you have another topic, or I have something to dive into if you want?
Go ahead.
Cool. So the other day I went to the new Star Trek movie. It was pretty good, but I came across something that is like the biggest disconnect between like technology and I'm gonna say innovation. So have you heard of these like 4D theater experiences?
Oh yeah.
They suck. It's like sitting in a fucking rodeo chair trying to go all over the place. So basically what it is it's a motorized chair that moves around with the shots. And, you know, watching a movie like Star Trek, there's definitely some action-y scenes. You know, there's some ship fights, there's some lasers going, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous at like the normal intensity setting. Like literally someone would open a box and your chair just like knock you back, or like when the camera would pan around, like I shit you not, I was just like sitting there like this, like oh, like the way it tossed you around. Like how is that an experience that brings you into it? Because at the same it makes you think of the camera movements, and it makes you think of this janky ass chair that you're sitting on, and it doesn't work. Because I find when technology and innovation like kind of meet, it's like when you have an experience like the new virtual reality headsets that we have right now. Yeah. The moment when you stop thinking about the tech that's involved, and then it becomes an experience, that's when you have something special. But the disconnect between this crappy mechanical chair and the viewing experience that you have, they don't match up. And I'm wondering if there's many other instances like that where you think it's a novel idea, but the two just don't line up. It doesn't create a coherent vision. Yeah, well,
That's what VR used to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you go and look back at like the Virtual Boy and
you
know, stuff from the 80s and the 90s, it just really wasn't. It wasn't there because it took you out of the experience because it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what that really depends on is it being good. And from the sounds of what you were saying, it sounds like they overused it. You know, they try and use this new thing too much instead of incorporating it where it makes sense.
Like the Wii.
Like the what?
Like the Wii.
Yeah. That's a whole other story. Anyways, but yeah, like, so I've gone to a 4D experience before, and it's like an actual 4D experience, not like the chair thing that they have in the theaters.
I've gone to a good one at Disney World, and this was like 10 years ago. I imagine
Yeah.
they're better now, but like it can be done well,
Yeah.
but if it's done half-assed, it's not good.
Yeah, like I agree. It's still weird because like the one I went to is at the Vancouver Aquarium.
Yeah.
And they'll rumble your chair. There's like a spike thing that'll like drive into your back. That
Yeah.
one's really annoying.
Intriguing.
And they spray water and blow
Yeah,
air.
there's like some sense.
Yeah. So you know, there's that kind of stuff, and a lot of the times, just because of how they use it subtly, and like they use the water in the spike to like surprise you, or the rumbles where it like really makes sense. Like there's a rumble one where like a giant chunk of an iceberg was falling into the ocean. I'm like, yeah, it's a huge thing moving.
That
My chair
makes a lot of
rumbling
sense.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, stuff splashing into the water, a little splash of water at me. It still surprises me, takes me out of it a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, it makes more sense. So it's not like something that I'm like, why did they do that? You know,
Mm.
you don't want them thinking why afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, it should make sense, and like, you know, that's really what a big part of the issue is. Like, when you're designing those type of things, you need to make sure that you're, what's the phrase I'm looking for? You know, keeping players in the experience, not shattering their.
Immersion. Shattering their thing.
Yeah.
continue on.
The fake believing of the place you're in.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever that phrase
Suspension of
is.
disbelief.
That's it. Yeah. Suspension of disbelief. You know, you need to make sure like you're not harming that, and you know, if people are questioning why whoever designed the experience did what they did, then you know,
Then
it
you
breaks the
failed.
suspension
Yeah.
of disbelief, and it's kind of one of the reasons I think some of the best design work is design work that people just don't think about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can totally agree with that. Like, I remember it was not this most recent GDC, but the last GDC. It was Game Developer Conference, if you don't know.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was a woman from Naughty Dog coming up, and she was like, "So my job, basically, if you see what I do, then I have not done my job well." And her job is to pick out the outfit for Nathan Drake to wear and things like that. Like, that sounds stupid. And I mean, it's a little more than that. Just make the clothes look natural. But like, she's like, if you think at any point, like, oh, wow, these pants are really fantastic, or you're thinking about it, then I failed.
Yeah.
Because that's taking you out of the experience. It's not focusing your attention to what it needs to be focused on. So she's like, I want this to seem like obviously this would exist in this environment, and it's something that you don't even think about, which is really intriguing from the point of a designing aspect.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's every piece of design you do as well. Like, you just want people to, you know, just experience something. You want to control what it is they're experiencing.
Yeah.
But you don't want them to think like somebody's trying to
you're
make
controlling.
them experience something, which is kind of something funny. Do you remember Jonathan Blow's comments about Braid?
What do you say specifically?
So one of the things he didn't like about Braid is that like people didn't get that he was trying to have a conversation with the player,
Right.
As a designer, and be like, hey, isn't this cool that I did this and you did this, and
Yeah.
you know, the thing is that the game is very well designed, so the people aren't even thinking about the designer and
Yeah.
the designer's choices, and
Yeah.
you know, I think that's something Jonathan Blow didn't really understand is, you know, people are used to just like experiencing the thing instead of thinking about the experience.
Right.
Because when they're thinking about the experience and they're thinking about it as like a designer or a developer or something like that, they aren't thinking they aren't thinking the things that, or they aren't thinking like the player would. And yeah, I think Jonathan Blow like made the game for other developers instead
Right.
of for the players, which is what his fan base for the game was. And you know, he's seen a bunch of
Players
success.
play
I really
games.
don't think he's really that upset.
He's not hurting
it,
about
but-
it. No, I wouldn't think. I wouldn't think
it's
he'd be hurting too
definitely-
bad.
Yeah, I think he placed an expectation on reviewers to see it kind of as a designer, and like really the reviewers should be able to see it that way because
Well-
they deal with games all the time. But it's not their job to see it that way. It's their job to see it as the player.
From the aspect of a consumer.
Yeah.
That's what most people are for games. They're just an average player, so that's what you want to appeal to.
Yeah.
Realistically. Which is interesting because designers definitely see things from a different perspective. And like, while I certainly wouldn't call myself a designer by any aspect, I got one game under my belt. I'm trying to like workshop a good idea for another game, and we talk about game design a lot. So I feel like I'm
Yeah.
starting to kind of get these concepts under my belt, and it definitely allows you to look at games differently. I don't think I would have liked Beginner's Guide near as much as I do now, because that's something I can relate to.
Yeah, it's definitely very helpful to be able to relate to like the kind of problems that the game talks about, and like how designers and developers go about thinking of what it is they're doing. That's what I found interesting, at least when I was watching you play. Is like, oh, Coda made this decision. I don't really know what he was thinking here. I think he was just trying to, I don't know, waste our time or something. And it's like, that's cool and interesting kind of stuff to me. Like that's something I like thinking about, especially with like level designs. Like, you know, why are they trying to drive the player this way? You know, what are they trying to make this place seem like? And yeah, I found the game you were talking about, playing about the name right now, very interesting, because some weird level design in there.
Oh, Beginner's Guide?
Beginner's Guide.
Oh, yeah.
There's like lights and like kind of random places, and you know, there's certainly purpose behind them being put in those random places.
Man, you should really, it's so up your alley. You should also play Stanley Parable. I'm surprised you haven't played that yet.
Yeah, I need to play both.
It's they're two very different kind of games. Stanley Parable is funny. This game is not funny. But another game I was thinking about just when we were talking, Her Story. I didn't mention it earlier. Fantastic. You should definitely play it too. Yeah. So moving on from that, do you have any points or anything? Or
I don't really think so.
Okay, cool. So now I got one more thing that I want to bring up. So I was hanging out with my uncle just the other night there. That's who I went to see Star Trek with. And he got real deep with me for a moment. And I was like, oh, dang, this is definitely going in a podcast. I didn't know how to respond to it at the time. But, so he has 3 kids. Yeah. Neither of us have any kids. None that we know of, I don't think.
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. And he was talking about how difficult it is to be a father. And not just from the aspect of raising the kids or whatever. It's the concept of instilling a sense of morality and a sense of, like, goodwill and things like that in another person. And how, as a concept, that is terrifying.
Yeah,
He's like, literally, we had an argument the other day because he wanted to wear his swim trunks to school. And it's like, it's nothing. But at the same time, is that going to be like an experience that he remembers that he's not allowed to express himself because of whatever, because he doesn't fall into this mold? It's like, how many of those experiences actually matter? And like, when I think back on my childhood, like, it is the stupid little things that stick out in your mind, isn't it?
It's random things too.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, very other similar events to like these random things that's like shaped you.
Yeah.
That like those other random things didn't shape you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very random events. So yeah, I think as a parent, there's definitely a lot of pressure to, you know, be perfect all the time, and you know, try and raise your child perfectly.
But then
you're never going to.
At the same time, even though it's impossible, if you somehow achieve that, I feel like you're setting up an unreal expectation for the child, which will probably cause issues later down the road, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Because then it would be that pressure to, you know, match up to whatever the parent did. And it's like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Like, why can't it be perfect like this person was? Like, it seems like you can't win, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, it made me think of like the aspect of having a child from like a different mindset. It's like, yeah, you are instilling values in this individual. I mean, I guess it's something maybe we can closer relate to because we're both the oldest siblings. So like you at least have that experience of, okay, I'm obviously instilling something in this other person who looks up to me in some capacity, and like if I make a decision, that's going to positively or negatively impact this person and their decisions that they're probably going to make.
Yep.
So it definitely gets you thinking like that.
Yeah.
But
I think it's really hard to do that like perfectly, because like just like the example you said with the swim trunks, like you don't wear swim trunks to school. Like it's not something that's culturally appropriate to do. It's really not that bad, but
exactly.
You know, it's not an appropriate thing to do. But yeah, you are limiting the child's ability to express themselves, and like there is no real perfect answer there.
No.
You know, I think a lot of, especially like I've 2 coworkers that sit beside me that are both parents. One has like a 4-year-old kid, the other one has like 7 and a 5-year-old kid. I think are about the ages.
Yeah.
And yeah, they both talk about parenting all the time. It's all these like funny situations like to come up with their kids. Yeah. And you know, how they deal with them, and like it never sounds like they're perfectly happy with how they deal with the situation, the parent that is. Right. And you know, I think it's just something you have to kind of live with as a parent, at least from what I gather, is, you know, you just try and do the best you can, and you know, let nature take its course.
Yeah. This segment was sponsored by Trojan Condoms, so you know, just yeah, man.
Save yourself $500,000 or whatever.
Yeah, we got deep there.
Yeah.
Went real deep at the end of it. I think we're gonna call it.
Yeah, looks good.
Man, nice view though.